Have you ever noticed how a feeling can take over your whole body in seconds? Like anxiety hits, and suddenly your mind can only see danger. Like anger rises, and your words feel sharper than you want. Like shame shows up, and you want to disappear. If that is you, this episode will give you a simple tool that changes everything. Not a miracle, not a trick, a skill. The skill is naming what you feel. Because when you can name an emotion, it often loses intensity. And the reason is not magic. The reason is your brain. Imagine you are in a dark room and you hear a sound. Your body reacts first. Heart faster. Breath tighter. Muscles ready. Your mind starts guessing. What was that? Is someone there? Now imagine you turn on a small light and see it is just the wind moving a curtain. The danger did not disappear because the curtain changed. The danger disappeared because you gained clarity. Naming emotions works like turning on that light. It turns vague fear into specific information. And when the brain has information, it does not have to panic as much. Here is the main idea you will hear again and again today. Unlabeled emotion feels like a storm with no map. Labeled emotion becomes a wave you can ride. Because when the feeling is unnamed, it feels endless, confusing, and powerful. But when you name it, you create distance. Instead of I am broken, it becomes anxiety is here. Instead of I am a failure, it becomes shame is here. That distance is small, but it gives you a doorway back to choice. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed. Not just stressed, overwhelmed. Your mind probably went wide. Everything felt like too much. Your body probably felt busy inside. Tight chest, heavy shoulders, restless energy, shallow breath. Now ask yourself this. Did you say the word overwhelmed in that moment? Or did you just live inside it? Most people live inside it. And when you live inside it, your brain treats it like the entire reality. Naming is how you step slightly outside. Not to deny the feeling. To witness the feeling. Witnessing is the first step of regulating. Let's talk about what is happening in your brain in simple language. Your brain has fast emotional circuits and slower thinking circuits. When emotion spikes, the fast system takes the wheel. It is trying to protect you. But it is not good at nuance. It thinks in urgency. It thinks in extremes. Naming an emotion activates the slower systems that organize, label, and make meaning. This helps calm the fast system. Because the fast system receives a signal. I know what this is. I am tracking it. We are not lost. That signal reduces chaos. And chaos is what makes emotions feel dangerous. Here is a quick example. You walk into a room and people are laughing. You do not know why. Your body tightens. Your mind says they are laughing at me. Now you name what is actually happening inside. This is social anxiety. Or this is insecurity. Or this is fear of rejection. The moment you name it, the feeling becomes a known pattern, not a mysterious threat. You have a place to stand. And once you have a place to stand, you can choose a response instead of a reaction. But why does naming work so well? Because your brain hates vagueness and threat mode. Vagueness feels like danger. When you cannot identify what you feel, your brain keeps searching. It scans for reasons. It creates stories. It builds worst-case outcomes. Naming stops the search. It says, we found it. It is fear. It is anger. It is sadness. Now we can work with it. Now we go deeper. There is a difference between naming emotions and explaining emotions. Naming is short and direct. Anxiety, anger, shame, sadness, jealousy, disappointment, loneliness. Explaining is the spiral. Why do I feel this? What does it mean? What if it never ends? Naming brings you back to the body and the present. Explaining often pulls you into the future and the past. So in the beginning, we start with naming only. Simple, clean, no debating. Here is a skill you can try right now. The 3-word label. When you feel something intense, pick 3 words only. Example: anxious, overwhelmed, pressured. Or angry, hurt, disrespected, or sad, lonely, tired. 3 words creates clarity without turning into rumination. It is enough structure to calm the nervous system, not enough structure to trigger overthinking. You might be thinking, okay, but I do not know what I feel. I just feel bad. That is normal. Many people were never taught emotional vocabulary, so they grew up with only a few labels. Fine and stressed, mad, tired. But inside there are many different emotions hiding under those words. And the more precise you become, the more power you gain. Because precise emotions lead to precise actions. Stressed can mean pressured, rushed, overloaded, responsible, trapped. Mad can mean hurt, disrespected, scared, embarrassed, powerless. Tired can mean burned out, numb, emotionally drained, unmotivated, lonely. Here is the emotional truth most people miss. Your first emotion is not always the one you show. Sometimes the emotion you show is the armor. Anger can be armor for hurt. Sarcasm can be armor for insecurity. Numbness can be armor for overwhelm. People-pleasing can be armor for fear. So naming reduces power, partly because it helps you find the real feeling underneath the armor. And when you find the real feeling, your nervous system can relax, because it no longer has to protect a hidden wound. Let's make this real with a simple scene. Someone cancels plans with you last minute. You feel irritation. You want to say something sharp. Now pause and name what is really there. Maybe it is disappointment. Maybe it is loneliness. Maybe it is feeling unimportant. If you only stay with irritation, you might react with anger. But if you name the deeper feeling, you can respond with clarity. I feel disappointed and I was looking forward to time together. That single sentence is more honest and less explosive. Naming changes how you communicate. Now we talk about the body, because emotions live in the body. First steps. A powerful way to name emotions is to start with sensation. Ask Kai, where do I feel this? Chest, throat, stomach, face, shoulders, hands. See. Then ask, what emotion matches this sensation? Tight chest can be anxiety or grief. Hot face can be shame or anger. Heavy body can be sadness or burnout. Restless legs can be fear or excitement. When you connect sensation to a name, your brain stops panicking about the sensation, because it becomes a known signal, not a mystery. Here is a tool called SBN. Sensation, name, need. First, sensation. My chest is tight. Second, name. This is anxiety. Third, need. I need to slow down. I need reassurance from myself. I need one small step. This tool reduces power because it turns emotion into information. And information leads to action. Action leads to relief. Now let's address a fear people have. If I name the emotion, will it get bigger? Sometimes you worry that naming sadness will make you cry, naming anger will make you explode. But usually the opposite happens. Because naming is not feeding the emotion. Naming is containing the emotion. It is like putting water into a cup instead of letting it spill all over the table. The cup gives it shape, and shape is calming. Another fear is, if I name the emotion, does that make it true? No. Naming is not agreement. Naming is recognition. You can name jealousy without acting jealous. You can name anger without being cruel. You can name shame without believing shame. Naming is simply saying, this is what is passing through me right now. And that is emotional maturity. Now let's talk about why emotions feel so powerful when unnamed. When you do not name a feeling, your mind often fuses with it. Fusion means you become the emotion. I am anxious. I am angry. I am hopeless. But naming helps diffusion. It becomes, anxiety is here. Anger is here. Hopelessness is here. That small shift creates a gap. And in that gap you can breathe. You can choose. You can wait. You can respond slowly. Let's apply this to overthinking. Overthinking often begins with unnamed emotion. You feel something uncomfortable. So your mind tries to solve it with thought. If you name the emotion first, the mind does not have to search as hard. Example: I keep replaying that message. Name what is underneath. Fear of rejection, or shame, or uncertainty. Now the mind understands why it is looping. It can stop trying to solve the wrong problem. Because the problem is not the message. The problem is the feeling under the message. Now we go into a very practical structure you can use in daily life. It is called the feeling sentence. I feel blank because blank, and I need blank. Example: I feel anxious because I do not have enough information, and I need to wait for clarity. Or, I feel hurt because I wanted to feel included, and I need to ask directly. Or, I feel overwhelmed because I took on too much, and I need to reduce one task. This reduces power because it moves you from chaos to direction. Direction is calming to the nervous system. Notice how the feeling sentence has 3 parts: C. Emotion, reason, need. Most people skip the first part and jump straight to the story. They say, you never care about me. They say, everything is ruined. They say, I cannot handle life. Those are stories. When you replace story with emotion, you become clearer and kinder. Not soft, clear. Clear communication reduces conflict, and less conflict reduces emotional intensity. Now let's talk about naming emotions in relationships, because this is where it matters most. When you do not name emotions, they leak out. Through tone, through silence, through sarcasm, through shutdown, through anger. But when you name emotions, you create connection. Because the other person can respond to the real feeling, not the mask, not the defense. So, instead of "oh," you never reply. You can say, I feel anxious when I do not hear back. I care about you and I get stuck in my head. That is vulnerability. And vulnerability often calms conflict before it starts. Now let's talk about anger specifically, because anger is often misunderstood. Anger is not always bad. Anger is often a boundary signal. It says something matters. Something feels unfair. Something feels unsafe. But when anger is unnamed, it can become explosive. When you name anger, you can refine it. Is it anger? Or is it hurt? Or is it fear? Or is it embarrassment? This matters because clean anger leads to clean boundaries. Messy anger leads to regret. Here is a powerful anger naming practice. Ask why. What am I protecting? Then, name the emotion under the anger. Hurt, how? Disrespect, fear, powerlessness. Then say, I feel angry and hurt. I need respect in how we speak. That is a boundary, not a fight. Naming turns anger into leadership. Now let's talk about shame, because shame loves secrecy. Shame grows when it is unnamed. Because it stays in the dark. It whispers. Do not tell anyone. Hide and disappear. Naming shame is like opening a window. You do not have to tell the whole world. You can name it to yourself. This is shame. This is that old feeling of being exposed. Naming shame reduces its power because shame cannot thrive in clarity. When you say the word shame, you stop confusing it with truth. You realize, this is a feeling, not a fact. If shame hits you fast, use a short script. This is shame. Shame is loud. Shame is not truth. Then do one body signal of safety. Long exhale. Relax jaw. Feel your feet. Then choose one repair action. Not punishment. Repair could be, I will apologize. I will learn. I will rest. I will ask for help. Repair teaches the nervous system safety. Punishment teaches the nervous system danger. Now, let's talk about sadness, because many people fear sadness. They worry sadness will swallow them. But sadness is often a wave that wants to move through. When sadness is unnamed, you might numb it. Scroll. Work. Eat. Overthinking. When sadness is named, it can flow. You can say, this is sadness. I am grieving something. A person. A dream. A version of myself. Naming sadness gives it dignity. And dignity reduces panic. Because you are no longer fighting the emotion. You are allowing it to be what it is. Here is a gentle sadness practice. Name it. Sadness. Then ask, what is the smallest comfort I can give myself? A warm drink. A shower. A slow walk. A message to a friend. A blanket. Comfort is not weakness. Comfort is regulation. And regulation is what helps sadness move instead of turning into shutdown. Now we talk about anxiety, because anxiety often feels like urgency. Anxiety says, act now. Fix it now. Check now. Control now. Naming anxiety reduces power because it exposes the pattern. You can say, this is anxiety urgency, not real urgency. Then you delay action. 10 minutes. 5 minutes. Even 1 minute. That delay is where your freedom is born. Because naming gives you a handle. And a handle lets you hold something without being held by it. Here is a simple anxiety sequence. Name it. Anxiety. Then breathe foul. Long exhale. Then choose one small step. Not the whole solution. One step. Write one sentence. Ask one question. Do one task for 5 minutes. Small steps teach the brain safety. Because they prove you can move without panic. Now we address the biggest reason naming is hard. Many people were taught to ignore feelings. Or they grew up in environments where feelings were punished. So naming feels unfamiliar. Even risky. But naming is not drama. Naming is data. And data helps you live better. So if naming feels awkward, start with just 2 words. I feel blank. That is it. No explanation. No story. Just a name. If you want to grow your emotional vocabulary, try an emotion menu. Pick a few categories and learn 1 new word per week. Anxious can become uneasy, nervous, worried, tense, restless. Sad can become disappointed, lonely, grieving, heavy, discouraged. Angry can become irritated, frustrated, resentful, disrespected, protective. Shame can become embarrassed, exposed, inadequate, unworthy. The more precise you are, the less the emotion has to scream to be heard. Now let's talk about the emotion wheel idea in a simple way. Emotions have families. Anger family. Fear family. Sadness family. Joy family. Disgust family. Surprise family. When you feel something intense, you can start with the family. Fear. Then narrow it. Is it worry? Is it dread? Is it insecurity? Is it panic? Narrowing reduces intensity because it gives the brain a clear label. Clear labels reduce alarm. Now I want to show you how naming changes self-talk. Without naming, you might say, I cannot handle this. With naming, you say, I feel overwhelmed. That difference matters. Because overwhelmed suggests a state, not a life sentence. Without naming, you say, I am a mess. With naming, you say, I feel anxious and tired. That suggests needs. Rest. Support. A smaller plan. Naming turns self-insult into self-understanding. And self-understanding is regulating. Now let's do a guided practice you can use daily. It is called the 30-second check-in. Pause. Asked. What am I feeling right now? Pick 1 word. Then ask. Where do I feel it in my body? Then ask. What do I need in the next 5 minutes? Not forever. Next 5 minutes. Maybe you need water. Maybe you need a break. Maybe you need a boundary. Maybe you need to start 1 small task. Then do the smallest version of that need. This practice builds emotional fluency. And fluency reduces emotional power over time. Now let's apply naming to the exact moment you feel triggered. You feel the spike. You want to react. Instead you name. This is anger. Or this is fear. Or this is shame. Then you add 1 more line. This is a nervous system response. Then you delay action. Then you choose 1 wise move. Naming is the first step that makes the rest possible. because you cannot regulate what you refuse to recognize. Now we talk about naming in real conversations. You do not need to deliver a perfect speech. A simple line is enough. I feel anxious about this. I feel hurt by that. I feel overwhelmed today. I feel defensive right now. Those sentences are powerful because they tell the truth without attacking. They also give you time, because naming slows the interaction down. It buys you space, and space prevents regret. Here is a communication upgrade. Replace accusations with emotion plus request. Instead of you never listen. Try. I feel unheard. Can you repeat what you heard me say? Instead of you do not care. Try. I feel unimportant when plans change last minute. Can we plan a new time? Instead of you are always judging me. Try. I feel embarrassed when feedback is given in public. Can we talk privately? This reduces conflict because it makes the problem solvable. And solvable problems calm the nervous system. Now, a very important note. Naming emotions does not mean you always understand them immediately. Sometimes you name a feeling, and it shifts. You start with anger and realize it is grief. You start with anxiety and realize it is loneliness. That is normal. Emotions are layered. Naming is how you peel the layers gently. The goal is not perfect accuracy. The goal is more clarity than before. If your emotions feel intense all the time, or you feel unsafe, or you are dealing with panic, trauma, or thoughts of harming yourself, please reach out to a qualified professional or local support resources. You deserve real support. This channel is for education and self-understanding, not a replacement for care. Before we end, here is your practice plan for the week. Pick one moment per day to name what you feel. It can be small. While you eat. Before you study. After a conversation. Before bed. Use the 3-word label. Then do one long exhale. Then choose one small need. Water. Break. One task. One boundary. One message. Repeat daily. This repetition trains your brain to recognize emotions early. Early recognition prevents emotional explosions. To sum up, naming emotions reduces their power because it creates clarity and distance in. Unlabeled feelings feel like storms. Labeled feelings become waves you can ride. Naming activates your slower thinking systems, which helps calm the threat system. Precise labels create precise actions, and precise actions reduce overwhelm. Use simple tools like the 3-word label and the feeling sentence. I feel blank because blank and I need blank. When emotions spike, name first, long exhale second, small wise action third. Practice one daily check-in to build emotional fluency over time.